Dad left a voicemail. "We cut you off. Don't come to the Thanksgiving." I just texted back, "I appreciate." That night, I removed my name from their joint business account. 36 hours later, 84 missed calls, and by midnight, their calls turned to desperate voicemails. Thanksgiving is a big deal in my family. Not for tradition or warmth, but because it's their favorite performance. My parents put on the matching aprons, roll out their perfect hors d'oeuvres, and parade their well-rehearsed family narrative like they're accepting an award. But behind all of that rot, the kind you ignore for so long you start to think it's normal. The voicemail came 5 days before Thanksgiving. Monday evening. I was unloading groceries when I saw it. My dad's voice came through like he was reading a company memo. "Pamela, your mother and I talked. We think it's best if you don't come this year. It's too tense. We've decided to cut you off from the holiday. Please respect our decision." I knew exactly what he meant by tense. It wasn't about me being disrespectful. It wasn't about conflict. It was because 2 weeks earlier I'd finally stopped nodding along when my mom made her little comments about how my job wasn't real work. And I reminded her that while she sat in a house she didn't pay for, I was the one keeping their floundering business alive behind the scenes. It was because at dinner last month, I didn't laugh when my dad made that joke about how I'd never keep a man, because I was too opinionated. It was because I finally said, "You two act like you've done me a favor by tolerating me, when the truth is I've been the one cleaning up after your financial disasters for years." They didn't like that. They said I had a tone. So they cut me off. From Thanksgiving. Like a child being grounded. I didn't call back. I didn't beg. I just sent one text, "I appreciate." But deep down I was done. If they didn't want me around, fine. But I wasn't going to keep floating behind the scenes, silently holding up the circus while they smeared me as the bitter, dramatic daughter who just doesn't get how hard they've worked. They wanted space. They get it. That same night I logged into our joint business accounts. The bookkeeping, payroll, tax software. All the stuff I'd rebuilt from scratch after they screwed it up so badly the IRS got involved. I was the reason they hadn't drowned. I removed my name. Unlinked everything. Transferred logins to the joint email. Sent them one final folder with every file they'd need. No note. Just the data. Then I logged out and went to bed. For 36 hours, nothing. Not a single text or call. Then it began. Calls from Dad. Then Mom. Then both, over and over like they were trying to hit a panic button and restart the world. Then came my brother. He lives in the same house with them. He's older, married, has a kid. I didn't expect him to pick sides and he didn't. His calls were just more noise I muted. By the second night I had 84 missed calls. And the voicemails started stacking up. At first it was confusion. Then panic. Then desperation. "Pamela, we don't know how to access anything. Can you just walk us through the process? You're blowing this out of proportion. We need you to help us file the quarterly taxes. They're due this week." By midnight my mom was crying in the background. Dad sounded like he was trying not to snap. I didn't reply to a single one. They wanted a life without me in it. Perfect. I was just giving them exactly what they asked for. By Wednesday morning I couldn't even check my phone without being flooded with voicemails. My parents had officially entered panic mode. I didn't answer any of them. Not out of spite but because honestly I didn't feel anything anymore. I just watched it all unfold like someone flipping through a fire they set themselves. I still went to work. Still had lunch with coworkers. Still got groceries like a normal person. Meanwhile they were unraveling voicemail by voicemail. I got a call from a blocked number. I didn't pick up. 5 minutes later another voicemail popped up. "Pamela, it's your father. We can't access the payroll dashboard. Did you change the password? We have checks to process today. I need you to call me immediately." 5 minutes after that, another one. "Hey, it's me again. Did you get the last message? Can you just walk us through it real quick?" The irony was almost too good. I had reminded them 6 times to write down the passwords or set up a recovery email. My dad said I was being controlling and condescending. Now they couldn't open their own system. Thanksgiving morning they tried to play it cool. Radio silence. I figured they'd pivot to damage control. Invite some distant cousins, post a few pictures and pretend nothing happened. Wrong. At 11:47 a.m., I got a group text from both of them. "We miss you today. Just know we're thinking of you." No apology. No mention of what they did. Just vague, polished words that meant nothing. Like I was supposed to be touched. I didn't answer. Thanksgiving night, I roasted a chicken and opened a bottle of wine. I watched 3 movies, lit some candles and fell asleep with my phone on Do Not Disturb. When I woke up Friday morning I had 29 new missed calls, all from them. Apparently the card reader at the shop stopped syncing. The system I set up for sales and inventory, the one they said was too complicated and overkill, didn't work without the weekly manual sync I used to do for them. Their big Black Friday sale? Completely botched. Around noon I got a voicemail from my mom. Her voice was tight like she'd been crying. "We know you're mad. Maybe you should be. But we need you to help us fix this. You know we're not good with this tech stuff. You're the only one who understands how it all works." Then she said it and I'll never forget it. "We didn't mean to cut you off. We just needed some space. We didn't want to ruin Thanksgiving for everyone else." Right. Because I would have been the one to ruin it. Not the people who ambushed me with a passive-aggressive voicemail and treated me like a PR issue. I didn't reply. Not to her. Not to my dad. Not even to my brother when he called late that night and left a message saying things were getting bad at home. I didn't ask for this chaos. I just stepped back. They were the ones who insisted on pretending I didn't matter. Now they were choking on their own silence. Sunday things really turned. My mom sent a long, winding message about how she forgave me for the things I said, and how she hoped we could move forward as a family. She didn't say sorry. She didn't own up to a single thing. She just floated it out there as if I'd come crawling back because she allowed it. Then came Monday. Payroll day. At 7:08 a.m. I got a call from their shop's landline. I watched it ring out. Then came a voicemail. "Pamela, the checks bounced. The system says we're locked out. We have employees calling. This is serious. You need to fix this." I didn't even open the message. Just deleted it. Then another. "Pam, we're begging you now. Please. This isn't a joke. We can't get the taxes to process. We've tried everything." 27 calls that day. By 3 p.m., my dad emailed me a 3-sentence message from the shop's account. The subject line said urgent. "Please help us. We'll do anything. Just tell us what to do." And still, no apology. Just desperation dressed up as humility. That night, I lit another candle, made dinner, and turned my phone off again. They wanted me gone. They just didn't expect how much they relied on the person they tried to erase. By Tuesday night, their desperation turned into something uglier. You could hear it in the voicemails. My dad was no longer pleading, he was frustrated. He'd gone from "we need your help" to "why would you do this to us?" in less than a week. And my mom, her messages were drenched in a mix of guilt and entitlement. That kind of guilt that isn't really guilt, just disappointment that things didn't go the way she imagined. "Pamela, this isn't how families treat each other. You've made your point. Now come back to the table." Come back to the table? Like I'd stormed out over nothing. Like they hadn't cut me off in a 1-minute voicemail days before a holiday. Like they didn't throw me out and then try to pull me back when they realized I was the only one holding their financial house of cards together. On Wednesday morning, I got an email with the subject line, "Notice of State Penalty." It was from their business account. The kind of email they would have forwarded to me automatically 6 months ago with, "What does this mean?" in the subject. Now they were just sending it with no comment, no explanation. Like I'd see it, panic, and rush back to clean it up. I didn't even open the attachment. I already knew. Late quarterly tax filing. Failure to pay estimated income tax. Probably a $500 fine and an audit flag. Then without warning, my mom showed up at my apartment. No text. No heads up. Just 3 soft knocks. I stood by the kitchen window and watched her. She looked nervous. She was checking her phone, looking at the door, knocking again. I didn't move. I just stood there sipping coffee, waiting. After a few minutes, she left. 10 minutes later, another voicemail. "Pamela, I came by because I thought maybe face-to-face would help. I know things got out of hand. We didn't mean to hurt you. You're still our daughter. And this business stuff, it's gotten out of control. Please come talk to us." Still no apology. Just that same vague deflection. "We didn't mean to hurt you." As if cutting me out of Thanksgiving was an accident. As if I was just being too sensitive. Thursday night, I finally answered a call. Not from them. From my brother. He keeps himself out of the family drama. Lives with them, yes. But mostly keeps to his own little orbit with his wife and baby. So when he called twice in a row, I figured it was something. He kept it short. Said he didn't want to get involved but thought I should know. My parents were planning to sell the car. That stopped me. "The car? The one you bought from them earlier this year. Mom says technically it's still registered to Dad. They're saying you never paid full price. That you owe them." I bought that car in February. Paid in full. Wired the money straight to their account, printed the confirmation. I even paid for the insurance switch and the registration. But I trusted them when they said they'd handle the title transfer. "Don't worry about it," my dad said. "We'll take care of the paperwork." That was in April. I never followed up. I was busy. I assumed they did it. And now they were holding it over me. Not just threatening to keep it, they were talking about selling it out from under me. That moment was sobering. They weren't just flailing anymore. They were retaliating. I told my brother I appreciated the warning. That was all. He sounded uncomfortable, like he didn't want to be caught in the middle, and I didn't blame him. But I wasn't going to fight them for a car. I didn't want it. I didn't want anything from them. They could keep it, sell it, drive it off a cliff. I could walk away clean with my hands empty, and my conscience clearer than theirs would ever be. And still, I hadn't said a word to Grandpa. He didn't have a computer. Barely used his phone. Still did everything on paper. But he knew every corner of the family, who owed who what, who lied, who covered things up. And the one thing he never tolerated? Ungrateful, manipulative behavior. My parents lived in his house. They ran their business out of a building he owned. He kept them afloat more times than I could count. But always quietly, always assuming they were at least keeping the family together. I hadn't called him yet. But I was going to. And once he heard what they did, not just to me but to his name, his business, his trust, they'd have bigger problems than a bounced payroll. I didn't plan on involving Grandpa. For most of my life he stayed out of the family drama. Said grown-ups had to figure things out like grown-ups. But this wasn't just drama. This was a full-on manipulation spiral, and it wasn't going to stop unless someone bigger than me called it out. So Friday morning I drove out to his place. Quiet country road, same creaky porch swing, same black coffee on the stove. He opened the door and said nothing. Just looked at me like he already knew. I told him everything. From the Thanksgiving voicemail to the 84 missed calls, the fake tears, the payroll failure, the tax notice. All of it. And then I told him about the car. The one I bought, paid for in full, and somehow still didn't legally own. He didn't interrupt. He didn't even blink. When I finished, he nodded once, stood up and walked down the hallway. Came back with a manila folder. One of the heavy ones he uses for property papers and rental documents. He flipped through it, pulled out 2 documents and made a phone call. I didn't know who he was calling at first. Then I heard the name, his lawyer. Not some friend from the VFW. Not a family favor. An actual real lawyer, the one who handled his estate. He gave the guy clear instructions. 2 things. Draw up a formal demand to transfer full title of the vehicle to my name, effective immediately. Put a hold on the business lease for the shop my parents were renting from him. I was still sitting there when he hung up. He turned to me and said they've had too much rope. It's time they felt the drop. I didn't say anything. I just nodded. The next day, Saturday, he invited them to his house. Noon sharp. Told them it was about the lease renewal and some decisions that needed to be made. I arrived 15 minutes early. Grandpa was already at the table with a fresh folder of documents, just waiting. My parents showed up together. My mom with red eyes like she'd been crying already. My dad doing that fake calm thing he does when he thinks he's about to take back control. They walked in and saw me at the table. My mom barely looked at me. My dad's eyes scanned the room like he was already preparing his speech. But Grandpa didn't give them the chance. He slid a document across the table, the formal title transfer demand. Then he said, "You have 48 hours to sign the car over, or I'll report you for asset fraud." My dad opened his mouth. Grandpa raised a hand. He wasn't finished. Then he handed them another paper. This one was a temporary freeze on their shop lease. Not an eviction, not yet. Just a pause until he decided whether or not they were still operating in good faith. "You've used my name, my money, and my property to support this business. And you've exploited my granddaughter to keep it running. That stops now." They were stunned. Not just because of what he said, but because someone finally didn't let them spin the story. There was no room for fake crying, no room for, "But we didn't mean it," no room for backpedaling. Then Grandpa dropped something none of us saw coming. He brought up the house. Said he'd been thinking for a while about what would happen to it long term. And after this little episode, he wasn't sure leaving it to people who could cut off their own daughter over ego was the right choice. My dad sat back, silent. My mom started to say something, but it died in her throat. Then Grandpa looked at me and asked, "Do you want to say anything?" I stood up. I said I wasn't here to rebuild a family. I was here to get what I paid for. I wasn't asking for reconciliation or apologies that only showed up when they got desperate. They wanted me out of their lives. I was just finishing the job. I walked out. They didn't follow me. But 2 hours later, the car title was transferred into my name. Guess Grandpa made himself crystal clear. The car title was officially in my name by Sunday night. I picked it up from the DMV myself the next morning. Fresh registration, new plates, paperwork in hand. It was supposed to be the end. I had what was mine, no screaming match, no apology demanded. But of course it wasn't over. Tuesday morning I got a call from my brother. His voice was tight, like he already regretted dialing. He said, "I thought you should know, they're telling people you blackmailed Grandpa." I actually laughed. Not a sarcastic one. A genuine tired laugh. Apparently, my mom was already on the phone with 2 of my aunts and a cousin, painting the whole thing like I'd manipulated the entire situation. She told them I showed up at Grandpa's place with some legal threat and spun a sob story to make him turn on them. She said Grandpa was too old to be handling all this pressure, and that I had taken advantage of his trust. I could guess her exact tone. Polite victimhood wrapped in concern. That was her favorite costume. Then my brother said something that stopped me. They're saying the car wasn't a sale, that it was a loan, that you never finished paying them. At first I didn't believe it. I thought maybe he misunderstood. Nope. They were really preparing to try and dispute the whole sale, to say that what happened back in February wasn't a clean transaction but a vague agreement they could now twist into whatever they wanted. I had proof. Bank transfer. Receipts. Even text messages confirming the amount and terms. But that didn't matter. It wasn't about the car anymore. It was about control. They had lost it and now they wanted blood. And here's the worst part. I could tell my brother didn't even think they were wrong. He said maybe just talk to them, before it gets too far. That was the last time I answered his calls. So I did the one thing I knew would end it. I called Grandpa. He didn't answer, again, which was becoming a theme. But this time when he called back he already knew. He said they brought the car thing to me. Can you believe that? I didn't respond. Then he said they tried to guilt me. Said I was turning my back on them. Said you're too emotional and that I've only heard one side. I asked him what he said in return. He didn't miss a beat. I told them if they file one document about that car, I'll list the shop building for sale. And if they even hint at dragging this into court, I'll rewrite the house deed and give it to you. I was silent. He kept going. I'm tired of watching them chew through people like this. Your mother's been pulling this since she was 16. Your father just follows whatever lets him feel like a king. But I know the truth. I know who did the work. And I know who held the place together when they couldn't be bothered. That night my parents must have realized how badly they'd miscalculated. Because by morning, I got an email from a generic Gmail address with a PDF attached. It was a mutual resolution agreement, written like a template someone copied off a legal blog. No lawyer name. No signature. The language was ridiculous. They would agree not to dispute the ownership of the vehicle, if I signed a clause promising not to speak to any extended family members about personal disagreements, and would agree not to tarnish the family image through dramatized retellings of past events. I almost choked on my coffee. Dramatized retellings? They were threatening to sue me, steal my car and rewrite history, and now I was the one who might tarnish the family? I forwarded the entire thing to Grandpa. He didn't say anything back. The next morning he did something better. He sent me a photo. It was a copy of the shop's lease, with their names scratched out in black marker and a blank line underneath. On top of it was a note in his handwriting. They want war. Let them have the silence instead. That afternoon they lost the building. Grandpa served them notice. Not an eviction. Not yet. Just a termination of the lease when it came up next quarter. 90 days. They thought they could rewrite the story, twist the facts, threaten me into silence. But they forgot the one thing that always saved them before was Grandpa's silence. And this time he was the one writing the ending. Grandpa called me on a Thursday evening and asked if I could stop by the house that weekend. His voice didn't sound heavy, just calm, the kind of calm that meant something was coming to an end. He said you should come collect the car title in person. And they'll be there. I knew who he meant. And I knew what he was doing. It wasn't for their sake. It was for mine. So I went. Saturday 3 p.m. I pulled into the driveway I hadn't seen in over a month. The last time I'd parked there I was still under the illusion that family could be repaired just because people shared blood. I didn't think that anymore. The front door was cracked open. I walked in without knocking. Grandpa sat in his old recliner in the living room, calm as ever. My parents were already there on the couch across from him, sitting side by side like they were waiting for a verdict. They didn't look at me right away. I stood just inside the doorway for a moment. No one said anything. Then Grandpa gestured toward the chair across from him and said, "Let's finish this." So I sat. My mom was the first to speak. She didn't cry this time, no dramatics. She said they were sorry. But it didn't sound like regret. It sounded like a formality, like when someone apologizes for bumping into you on the sidewalk. Then my dad spoke. He said things got out of control. We didn't think you'd actually walk away like that. That was the closest thing to honesty I'd heard from either of them in weeks. That's what stung. Not the insult, not the betrayal, but the fact that they had never actually believed I could choose to be done. That they thought I'd always come back eventually. Because that's what I'd always done. Not this time. Grandpa opened a folder on the coffee table. Inside were 2 documents. One was the finalized car title registered to me. The other was a notice confirming the end of their lease at the shop, effective in 60 days. He handed me the title and looked at them. If she had sued you, I would have stood behind her in court. But she didn't. She gave you a way out. And you still chose to twist it. They didn't argue. Then Grandpa added something I didn't expect. He told them he'd updated his will. He didn't say what was in it, just that some things had changed. He left it at that. My mom went pale. My dad looked down. I stayed silent. Then Grandpa turned to me and said, "You came to collect something. And I think it's more than just a car." He was right. I came to collect the final piece of myself I'd left in this house. The belief that I needed their approval to belong. I folded the title into my bag and stood up. No goodbyes. No final jabs. I didn't need them to explain anything else. I didn't want them to. I already understood everything I needed to. As I walked toward the door, my mom stood like she might follow me. I heard her whisper, "Pamela." I didn't stop. I stepped outside, shut the door behind me and walked to my car, and drove away. Not fast. Not angry. Just done. Now, a few months later, I live in a new apartment in a different part of town. The car sits downstairs, clean and in my name. I haven't heard from them since that day and I haven't gone looking for updates. But sometimes late at night I think about how quickly everything unraveled. Not because of what I did, but because they never believed I had the strength to stop fixing things. They used to say blood is thicker than water. But they forgot the full version. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Family doesn't keep you warm when it's built on control. But truth does. Boundaries do. And peace, real peace, comes when you finally walk away without flinching. They told me not to come to Thanksgiving. I did exactly what they asked. And I never went back. The update. It's been about 7 months since the last time I saw them. There haven't been any calls, no surprise apologies, no holiday invitations slipped under the door. Just silence, and honestly I'm thankful for it. The shop closed. Couldn't survive after the lease ended. I didn't celebrate. I didn't reach out. I just noted it and moved on. I see Grandpa regularly now. He comes over for dinner every couple of weeks. We keep things simple, talk about work, the garden, random things. The rest stays buried. And speaking of work, I started helping other small businesses set up the systems I once built for my parents. 1 client turned into 2, then 5. Now it's a steady thing. Quiet. Honest. The car's still with me. Every time I drive it I think they tried to take this from me and I didn't let them. I didn't go back. I didn't forgive what wasn't fixed. But I moved forward. And that's more than enough.